Beloved saints, today's 5-minute message of redemptive history will be about descendants of sin who stood on the side of Cain from the first book Genesis Genealogies. Today, we'll be focusing on Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. When we look at Genesis chapter 4, we see that the genealogy according to the line of Cain ends with Lamech, the 7th generation from Adam. No longer does it record the descendants of Cain in the Bible. Cain's lineage undoubtedly must have continued through the Lamech's 3 sons, probably even forming a great nation. However, no longer is it recorded in the Bible, because the descendants of Cain have forsaken God. They have left God, and they're no longer part of God's interest or concern. Beloved saints, through this word today, let us realize civilization without God and life without God will come to a sudden halt, even at their peaks, regardless of how developed and flourished a civilization may be. In Proverbs chapter 6, verse 15, it says, "Therefore, calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment, he'll be broken beyond healing." This characteristic of sinfulness, however, does not completely disappear. It continues down through the lives of different people that are standing on the side of Cain until the end time. We need to keep this in mind and not fall under the temptations of such people. One of the prominent examples of someone who stood on the side of Cain was Nimrod, the grandson of Ham, one of the 3 sons of Noah. In Genesis chapter 10, verses 8 through 9, it says, "Now Cush became the father of Nimrod. He became a mighty one on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord." First, Nimrod was a mighty one on earth. Mighty one. That is referring to someone who has the courage, ability, and wisdom to achieve great work. However, it says here that he was a mighty one on earth. So, he was not a hero in God's sight because he was brave in challenging God and skillful at standing against God's will. He possessed ability and wisdom for plundering souls through deception. Truly, Nimrod stood on the side of Cain and used his ability in obstructing God's will, opposing God's will, and challenging God actively. Second, Nimrod was a mighty hunter. The word mighty in Hebrew is gibor, which means mighty and powerful. And so this word implies that he was more skillful hunter than many other people. So he rose to a position of a heroic leader in his time. And then he used this power to deify himself. He sat in God's place and opposed him. Nimrod was the archetype of the Antichrist, robbing the souls of mankind and turning them away from God. In 1 John chapter 4, verse 3, it says, "And every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you heard was coming and now is in the world already." Third, as a result, Nimrod challenged God and built the Tower of Babel. Nimrod became the founder of Babel, the atheistic city-state that challenged God's will through the support of his followers. In Genesis 10:10, it says, "And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Iraq, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar." Truly, it says here, he founded a nation named Babel. This nation that he founded was atheistic. It was a nation that opposed God's will. Just like those characteristics from the genealogy from the line of Cain, this nation that Nimrod founded did not have the name of God at all. In fact, this nation of Babel exalted the names of men rather than the name of God. And so, building this Tower of Babel was opposing God and challenging God. Beloved saints, how are we using the ability and the talent that God has given us? Are we using it like Nimrod, revealing our glory and oppressing others? Or are we using the ability and the talent that God has given us for God's will, saving others? What I pray is that today, that we will use all of our ability and talent only for God's glory, and that we will receive God's blessing today and be victorious. I bless in the name of the Lord.